Null confessions, homeless but still functioning. There's a difference between being broke and being homeless. Broke is I don't know how I'm paying this bill. Homeless is I don't even know where I'm sleeping tonight. At this point in my life, on paper, I looked fine. I had a job. I had a uniform. I had somewhere to be every day. If you saw me in public, you'd think, yeah, he's doing all right. Shirt pressed, shoes tied, still laughing, still cracking jokes, still showing up. But what nobody knew is that when my shift ended, I didn't go home, because I didn't have one. Scene 1, the parking lot bedroom. Most people think of home as an address. For a while, my home was a parking lot. Not one specific lot, either. You can't stay in the same spot too long or people start to notice. So I had a little rotation. A grocery store that closed late. A 24-hour gas station where cars came and went all night. A quiet side street near some apartments, where if you parked right, you just blended in. My bedroom was the driver's seat pushed back as far as it would go. Sometimes the passenger seat. Sometimes the back seat if I really wanted to pretend I had options. On good nights, I'd find a corner where the lights weren't too bright, crack the window just enough so it didn't fog up, and try to knock out. On bad nights, I didn't sleep much at all. Every sound becomes an alarm. A door closing. A cart rolling. A car pulling up next to you. A security truck making a slow lap. You can't relax when you know one knock on the window could blow up your whole situation. So you sleep in pieces. 20 minutes here, 10 minutes there. Wake up, check around, reposition, try again. That was my reality. By the time most people were just getting in bed, I was already trying to make a car feel like a room. Scene 2, the morning disguise. Here's the crazy part. By the time the sun came up, I had to look like none of that was happening. I had a little system. I knew where every decent bathroom was within range. The gas station with a single-person bathroom and a lock. The 24-hour fast food spot that never asked questions if you walked in like you belonged there. Sometimes a gym, if I could finesse a guest pass or slide in quietly. I'd grab my bag, move fast, and turn that bathroom into my personal locker room. Wash my face, brush my teeth, hit the pits with baby wipes if that's all I had. If I had a change of clothes, I'd switch shirts. If I didn't, I'd at least straighten up what I had and try to steam wrinkles in the hot air. All while checking the time, because I couldn't be late. Late looks suspicious. Late gets people asking questions. I needed to be early. I needed to look like the guy who had it together. So I'd walk into work like, "Morning, what's up? Y'all good?" They didn't see the part where I was bending over a sink 40 minutes earlier, trying to make sure I didn't smell like car seat in stress. To them, I was just another coworker. To me, I was a magician, trying to pull normal life out of a hat that was completely empty. Scene 3, functioning like nothing's wrong. The thing about being homeless but still functioning is that you start living a double life. There's what's really happening, and there's what you let people see. At work, I was locked in. I did my job. I cracked jokes. I helped other people out. I was the guy you could depend on to show up. And that's the part that messes with your head, because people assume, if you're homeless, you must be lazy. You must have messed everything up. You must be on something. You must be out of control. Meanwhile, I'm running on 2 hours of broken sleep. Still doing my job better than some people who go home to a bed every night. There were times coworkers would say, "Bro, you good? You always here. You never call out. You be grinding." And all I could say was, "Yeah, you know, I'm just trying to make it happen." They had no idea what that sentence really meant. Make it happen wasn't about grinding for a vacation. It was about literally trying to grind my way back into having an address. Scene 4, dodging questions and invitations. The hardest part wasn't the car. It wasn't the bathrooms. It wasn't even the lack of sleep. The hardest part was the lies. You don't realize how many everyday conversations assume you have a home. Until you don't. What you getting into after work? Man, I'm probably just going to go to the house, chill. What house? You watched the game last night. Yeah, I caught some of it. On what TV? Why don't you ever slide through? We be kicking it after the shift. Because how do you explain? I'm scared to be out late with y'all, because I might lose my parking spot for the night. You start dodging. Nah, I'm tired, man. Gotta handle some stuff. Nah, I got some errands to run. Nah, I'm good. Rain check. Too many rain checks, and people assume you're antisocial. Or you're stuck up. Or you just don't mess with them like that. They don't know you're trying to survive, without letting them see you're surviving. Scene 5, the money math. When you're homeless, your brain becomes a calculator that never shuts off. Every dollar has a job. You can't just say, "I got paid, let's go out." Paycheck hits and you're thinking, okay, if I put this much on my phone, this much on gas, this much to at least keep a storage unit or a cheap room sometimes, what's left after that? Some days the choice is, eat decent, or save that money for one more night somewhere that isn't the car. You'd be surprised how many people choose a full stomach over a roof. Me, sometimes I just sit there like, if I eat light now, maybe I can afford one night in a room at the end of the week. Not a nice hotel, not a vacation. Just one night of far real walls and a door that locks. One night where I could stretch out without a seat belt digging into my back. One night where if I heard a sound, it wasn't because someone was walking by my window. That's what my treat myself looked like. Scene 6, close call in the parking lot. There was one night that almost exposed everything. I had my little setup in the car. Hoodie rolled up like a pillow. Blanket in the back seat. Bag on the floor with everything I owned that I couldn't leave in storage. I'd finished a late shift and parked in the far corner of a lot where I'd stayed before. I'm half asleep when I see headlights swing in my direction, and a car slow down next to me. I look up, it's somebody from work. They park a few spaces over, hop out, and start walking toward me, waving. My heart dropped. I'm looking around the car like, yo, does it look like I live in here? Can they see the blanket? The bag? The extra clothes? They knock on the window like, yo, you straight? I thought you dipped already. I roll the window down just enough and hit them with, yeah, I'm good. I'm just on the phone, waiting on somebody. I'm about to pull off in a minute. I'm trying to act casual, but my chest is pounding. They look at the back seat, look at me, and for a second, I wonder if they put it together. But they just nod and say, bet, be safe bro. I'll catch you tomorrow. They walk off like it's nothing. I sat there in the dark, heart racing, thinking about how close I was to my cover being blown by one random parking decision. Scene 7, the night everything hit me. There's always that one night that sticks with you. For me, it was a night when the weather turned on me. During the day it was hot. But by the middle of the night the temperature dropped hard. I'm in the car, curled up in a hoodie, trying to sleep while my feet are freezing, and my back feels like I laid on a toolbox. My phone is low. My gas is low. My patience is gone. I remember staring up at the roof of the car and thinking, how did we get here? How did it get this bad? That I'm out here doing everything I can, and still don't have a place to lay my head. And the messed up part, I knew I was working harder than some people who had apartments, houses, Netflix, Wi-Fi, and full fridges. I wasn't out partying. I wasn't out blowing money. I was just stuck. I hit this point where I felt two things at the same time. Embarrassed, because I didn't want anyone to know, and angry, because I felt like life had me in a chokehold I didn't deserve. I remember saying out loud, in that car, I refuse to let this be my story forever. This can be a chapter, but it is not going to be the whole book. It didn't magically fix anything. I still had to wake up in that car the next morning. But from that night on, I stopped thinking, maybe this will get better, and started thinking, I have to force this to get better. Scene 8, the climb out. Getting out of homelessness is not a movie montage. It's a slow grind of tiny wins. One extra shift here, a side hustle there. Someone finally paying you back money they owed you. Catching a break on something that doesn't go wrong for once. Piece by piece, I started stacking. I'd still have nights in the car, but now there were also nights where I could scrape together enough for a room. And once you get a taste of sleeping in a real bed again, you start fighting for it like your life depends on it, because in some ways it does. Eventually, it stops being, where am I sleeping tonight? And starts being, how do I make sure I never end up back there again? The day I finally had a key to a place that was mine again. It didn't feel real at first. I put the key in the door, opened it, and just stood there for a second like, this is it. This is what I've been fighting for. All those nights in the car. All those cold mornings in gas station bathrooms. All those times I said I'm good when I really wasn't. I didn't buy anything fancy at first. No big TV. No decorations. Just a bed. A place to put my stuff. And a door I could lock from the inside. You don't understand how holy a locked door feels until you've been living your life with windows as walls. Scene 9, for the one secretly going through it. If you're watching this and you're secretly living your own version of this story. Going to work. Smiling at people. Still functioning. And then sleeping in your car, on somebody's couch. Or bouncing from spot to spot with no place that's really yours. Let me tell you something. You are not weak. You are not crazy. You are not less than anybody around you. You're just carrying a weight they can't see. But you can't carry it alone forever. The part I wish I'd learned sooner was, it's okay to ask for help before you hit the breaking point. Not everyone's going to understand. Not everyone's going to be safe to tell. But there are people out there, even if it's just one, who would rather know what you're going through than watch you fall apart quietly. And if you don't have that person yet, then let the story be proof that it's possible to be totally lost for a season and still fight your way back to solid ground. Because I've been the one parked in the corner of the lot, hoping nobody knocks on the window. I've been the one smiling at work, knowing I had no clue where I'd lay my head that night. And if that version of me could hold on long enough to climb out, then so can you. Scene 10, for the people who judge from the outside. And if you're watching this from the other side of the fence, you've never been homeless. Maybe you've never missed a rent payment. Maybe you've never had to choose between gas and groceries. I'm not here to make you feel guilty. I'm here to ask you to think twice before you look at somebody's situation and say, if they really wanted it, they'd work harder. They must have made dumb decisions. They're probably lazy. Some of the hardest working people you'll ever meet are the ones just trying to get back to zero. Back to a bed, a door, a place where their name is on the mailbox. You might walk past someone who looks tired, who always says, "Nah, I'm good," when you invite them somewhere, who never complains, and they might be fighting a war you don't know about. So be a little slower to judge, and a little faster to show grace, because sometimes the difference between someone staying stuck and finally getting out is one person who decides to help. Instead of assuming the worst, I was homeless, but I was still functioning, showing up to work, smiling, grinding, making things happen on the outside, while trying to survive on the inside. And if there's one thing I want you to take from the story, it's this. Don't let a rough chapter convince you the whole book is ruined. You're allowed to rebuild. You're allowed to start over. You're allowed to turn the car seat nights into a testimony instead of a life sentence. This was my chapter, and now I get to tell it from the other side.